This is Hannah Erica. Thanks for tuning in. This is a buffet that I got off of Facebook Marketplace for $40. I did a little pre-sanding. I do that once in a while just to test what it is, and it's solid wood. I'm so excited about that. I thought it was, but sometimes you gotta just give it a good test. When you're dealing with solid wood and not any kind of particle wood or veneer, you have so many more options, and if things go sideways, it's easier to fix because you can just kind of sand it down. So I'm just kind of excited about the fact that it's real wood. Um, Little things. Okay, they have contact paper on it, but I can see it's not going to be hard to come off, and there's a little trick that you can use to get that off anyway, and I'll be working on that a little bit later. So I know that I'm sanding it for the most part, so I don't care too much about scrubbing the piece on the outside, but the drawers inside was sticky, and I know eventually I'm going to line them, but I just wanted them as clean as possible, so I am scrubbing it. I am using dish detergent. I'm not sure of a product that would be better. It's very thin wood at the bottom, so I didn't want to push it too far. But I am doing a little bit of the outside, but my focus is on the inside because when you're sanding and not really painting, you really cleaning it is kind of like why, because you're going to just sand it all down. And the place we got it from, the lady's house looked clean, and it was just sitting in the corner in her living room. There was no spider webs and nothing crazy in it, the way it may be if it's outside or in somebody's garage. So it wasn't like I was concerned about anything nasty on there. But just because I normally clean stuff, I just start cleaning. So with this, the contact paper I did, I used, oh my God, fabric softener. I'm sorry. I use fabric softener. It's like what people use to remove wallpaper. It's essentially the same thing. So I put a bucket of water, some fabric softener, and then I have a scraper, and just a plastic one. I don't want to scrape the wood. It's like very thin kind of plywood at the base, and it looked like it's in really good condition. I just wanted to remove the contact paper without damaging anything. And I find that it came off pretty good. I just came back and forth with it. And I went through so much paper trying to get this off. And I'm going to tell you what I originally was trying to do with this, because I couldn't do it. I originally wanted to sand everything so completely bare and then put like a beautiful light stain that's neutral, and then have it just like a gorgeous piece. But that is not what happened. So I tell you that right now. So you'll see what happened in the end. This is the first piece that I made for my place that I was so extremely stressed about. The first piece was my bedroom dresser, which I was kind of new at it, and I didn't have a lot of pressure. It was going in my bedroom. I knew what I wanted to look like, and my first dresser, and I just put it together, put it in my room. And then the second piece was for my basement, which I really wasn't stressing about that. I just wanted something for storage. And so it didn't have to be gorgeous or anything. It just had to look decent enough and just fit a lot of things. But this piece is going in my dining room. And so this thing I had a lot more pressure on me to make sure it looks really good. And I want to keep it for a long time. So I just had to I just put a lot of pressure on myself to have like a perfect piece. Going on Pinterest, seeing what people on Pinterest are doing, and you're like, oh, this is gorgeous, that's gorgeous, and just it's a lot of pressure. I must have, I don't know, looked at dozens of things. So This is me just the same day that I got this. This is the exact same day that I got this. I'm sanding and working on my stuff right now. I thought I can do it all in one day, but that was a little too ambitious. So this is a Saturday when I was doing this. And it was easier to turn it to its side and just sand away. I was just so impressed by how every piece was solid wood, because usually it's something on it that's not quite solid wood. So I'm just so happy I got a decent piece. Some of this I'm not wearing a mask, some of it I'm wearing a mask, but I'm in the garage and the garage door is open. You see the light coming in, so it's well ventilated. So now I'm inside of the cabinet. I want it to all be the same color. So I'm really just working hard here. And I took a small break, put some water and some vinegar to work on the cabinet pieces, which I really don't get into that a lot because I normally just paint them if I'm going to use them. Like I'm really not good at removing stuff off of the handles. It's so much work. It's less you restoring. I really don't get into it. Most of the time I'm changing out a lot of the handles anyway. So I decided to do a test. This is when I was still hopeful about having a light color, and I just tried a little bit of the natural, which you can see it's so warm and yellowy, and it's definitely not what I wanted. And then I had this stuff that I was using called Early American, which was great on my industrial bar stool seats, but it's like, I don't know, different woods just had different reactions. This particular wood, I looked it up, and it was like a bird's eye oak kind of thing. And you see how much dark that is. When I've used it before, it was light. So now I have put some clean strip on it just to kind of clear up the rest of this. And of course, I'm going to tell you this was a waste of time for me. Not because clean strip didn't do its job. It did its job. Just that when I pivoted, it kind of like, why'd I bother to clean it out? I mean, it was so nice. I probably should have just let that part be. But, you know. When I decided one day, I woke up and I thought the idea was just too plain for me. It was gorgeous, but just too plain. And so I decided to take the top drawers and I was going to stain them. And I did an ebony stain and it just looked like it was just unfinished paint. And I just didn't like it. So then now I'm using a black poly plus stain on it. So I'm hoping that would give it the look of paint. But like I said, sometimes you live and you learn. You're just trying things. It's wood, so I'm trying to see what this is going to look like. You know? But for me to color that much of it, I must have been very confident that I thought it was going to look the way I wanted it to look. But when I wiped it, I mean, it's a stain. It's not paint. And I kept wanting it to act like paint because I use paint a whole lot more than stain. And so it's still a little transparent, which makes me feel like it just had one coat of paint and it's just not finished. I know some people may like it this way, where it's just like a simple black stain, but it was just driving me nuts. And since the buffet was for my living room, my dining room, I had to make it according to my taste. So I was pretty much done with the stain for the drawers. But in order to give it an even effect, I did put the stain on this one just so I could be doing the exact same thing to each piece. So even though I know that I'm going to paint it, I just felt like, let me just stain both of them, let them sit and go work on something else, and then I'm gonna come through and paint both of them. Sometimes I know I'm using black, but sometimes I feel like if I do something different with two of the same pieces, they look slightly different. I know that's stupid, but I just said, let me just do the same thing for each one. Let them sit, and then I'm going to come through and just paint these because I wasn't happy. And this is oil-based stain, so I'm wearing a mask because it's very strong. And I think it's the evening, so my garage door is not open either. So now I move right on to the paint. I'm sure I gave it a little bit of time. I didn't particularly like the roll I was using, and then I couldn't find brand new rolls. So I did go to the store the next day when I was buying more stain, and I got more rolls for the next coat in between the sanding. And so what do? I thought just having black on the drawers wasn't enough. So I went around, and all the work I did to clear around the inside of this design, I went and put black paint inside of it. I could have just scuff sanded and put black paint in it, but no. I cleaned it out completely, and now I'm filling it back up. So let me know if you've done something crazy like that. Just put all bunch of work into something and then turn around and done something different with it where you probably could have saved yourself a lot of time. But I really, really, truly was trying to go for that different look. Everything was just nice and lighter. And there was a lot of issues that I would get into later that affected my decision and affected how it turned out. And when you see the ending piece, it's not, to me, it's not permanent. It's my buffet. I could at any time change some things. it's a solid wood, and maybe I come up with another idea and make it different. But right now I went without a buffet for over a month. So I'm giving it a scuff sand before I do the second one, but I don't think I showed the second coat. I went without a buffet for at least a month, at least. I sold the server. I had a little server there, and then it was small for a smaller house I was in. I wanted something bigger, and I put the server for sale on Facebook Marketplace, and it just sold really fast. So I bought, this is called English chestnut. So it's supposed to be lighter than the early American because it said chestnut, and I thought it would give it the effect that I needed. And at this point, I just rubbed it over the entire drawers, because at this point, this was it. Like, I literally used another color that I didn't even put in here. It was called rustic beige, and it did nothing. It was just like a bunch of gray color. It just was a mess. I wasn't going to do 10 coats of rustic beige. So I put in early American and called it a day. English chestnut. And so I wiped it off, and I know it seems a little yellowish right there, but it actually was not. It actually was a little neutral. I think the lighting made it seem yellowish. And so I started to put it on the top. You can see the drawers below. They already have the stain on it. And there were a few imperfections, but I did like the look. It just had a few little, my boyfriend calls it, like, gives it character, but it had a few little things that just wasn't perfect, that I would like to have hidden. I wanted to look more new and nice, but still, I don't know. I didn't want to look like it needed to be refinished. And to him, I understand things have character. They usually have character before you refinish it, and they look great. You just keep it the way it is. You just kind of clean it down and keep it with the character. But when you refinish it, I just thought it should just look good without all the character. So when I did the top and I wiped it down, and I forgot I did wood condition everything. I didn't show that because sometimes you're doing so much work and I didn't have enough film, but I did put wood condition on every piece except for the black top drawers. So I would expect it to adhere nicely because I put wood conditioner on. I did wait the next day because it was just late. I put the wood conditioner on and went to bed. So if someone thinks that affects it, like, you should do it right away. But then you see the edge of the top, and then I do the side here, and I just feel like I didn't have a choice but to pivot because I use the exact same stuff. The English chestnut, you can see the top of it. It still looks similar and look around the same, and it's just a little beigey, a little bit. I still wanted to do some more to make it look a little bit better, but I just felt like once I did the side of the buffet, it was clearly not the same wood, which I kind of knew it wasn't the same wood, and it was so much darker. I was just shocked. I didn't know it was gonna be that much darker, and it's like the same stain could be so different on the piece. So I was not going to sand this off, and so I kind of gave into that and said I'm going to just go ahead on and put it on everything. And for some reason the doors turned out just as dark, and I let go of my idea of having a lighter piece, and that is what made me just kind of let go, because I tried. I bought rustic beige, no good. I bought English chestnut, still dark. I had early American, but that was dark. And it's like, that's it. I can't keep buying stains and trying them out. So I went with this and just stayed with it. Both sides were darker. The top was lighter, but then Of course, I came through with a second coat on the top and let it sit so that it could match the sides better. I'm not going to say that they were exact because it's just two different types of stain. I did the drawers about 3 times to try to match these cabinet doors, and it was a lot just trying to get it to close in and match. And even though I did all of the work for it to with the wood conditioner, it still had like a rustic look to it, and you can see the way the cabinet door has like a some contrast on top. It's like not all one color. It's just whatever's going on with the wood. It's just different, and it kind of gave it more of a rustic look, and I had to just kind of let it be. So this is after 2 coats on the top. Still not satisfied. It's still too plain. So now I'm putting tape to block off certain parts of the top because I'm going to do some paint blocking on the top. And I know some of you are like, what is she doing? But I thought about stencil, and all the stencils that I had was not my taste. It was sort of like what people like, you know, stuff like mandalas and stuff for the French, and I had to think and look around like that's really not my style. I love black, I love stain, I love like neutral colors, just neutral. And so I had to think about it. This piece is for you. I had to keep telling myself, it's for you. What do you want? And so I had to do something that I know I liked. I did something similar to a dresser a few months back. And so this is some tack spray to kind of keep the tape down, because tape will lift and then it'll seep into the other part, and you want this to be sharp. And so I got a smaller paintbrush so I can just kind of carefully keep it within those lines. After I did this one side, then I realized that the way I blocked it off, I only allowed myself to do 2 stripes. And I was like, I need something else. So I turned around and I added another stripe to it. And then I did a second coat.
First coat.
On
Maybe
it.
I'm crazy. It just
because it definitely needs more than 1 coat.
Stay with me, folks.
So here I am doing a second coat for that part. So I don't wait till it's completely dry to pull it off. I don't know why. It's just dry enough, just slightly. And then I just want to see what's going on. That's just me. And so I get excited when everything looks neat and crisp, because that's what I want it to look like. And I just calmly pull it because I don't want it to be, I just speed it up a little bit. I don't want any issues with it. I just wanted like some odd looking stripes here and there. It wasn't about being uniform. I didn't have that same pressure on myself as I had with the other piece. Now, because it's paint and stain, I started off with this polyacrylic satin base. I was mad because my favorite sponge was leaving little pieces, and I'm like, what is going on? But it was my last little sponge, so I was like, oh, I was getting frustrated. But I still had to keep using it because that's what I had left. So I had to just keep an eye on what was left after I did this. I have a really strong, brand new stuff that I have never used before, but it's supposed to be very strong. This is what it is. It costs like almost double of the regular polyacrylic, but I got it, and I'm using a chip brush because I'm literally ran out of things. And when you use a lot of oil-based stuff, you wind up just throwing it out. You can't salvage anything. And so I'm getting down to the last couple of things I have. And I'm noticing this stuff is very heavy, very oily, but they're telling you use a small amount. It took so long to dry. I only did one coat on this drawer, and I did one coat on the other drawers, which I have in another room, drying. It's so heavy. It also is not like a soft, smooth finish. I did some coats on the top too. So I do not recommend it for furniture. I think it'll be better for like a deck. Like it says indoor, outdoor. Just stick to the outdoor stuff with that. And just put like 3 coats of like a really good poly. And of course, here I go spraying these. I did get new handles for the piece, but this is, the pieces that I have to reuse. And so I made them black. They're going to show through it, and it'll look black along with the pieces that I put up black. So I thought it was pretty good. I didn't want to deal with putting this back on. I hate it, but I don't have any help. So I waited till the last minute, and hopefully this is it. I'm not going to say I love it, but I certainly like it. And it's going to be like this for a little bit until I get inspired to do something else. And I'm just happy to have it back. Thanks for watching.